All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for our Back to School Live series. My name is Andrea, and I'm a health promoter with Niagara Parents. Today, we welcome Brun. Brun is a school health nurse here at Niagara Region Public Health, and she's going to be talking to us today about different ways that your family can get active on the commute to school. So before we get started, I just have a few reminders for us. Feel free to put any questions that you have throughout this live event in the chat box, and Brun will be happy to answer all of your questions at the end. This presentation will be recorded and saved on the Niagara Parents Facebook and YouTube pages in case you missed it or you'd like to watch again. If you are unable to answer your questions today, please reach out to us via Facebook Messenger or through our live chat, phone, or email, and we can connect you with resources. And lastly, contact information and resources we discussed today will be located in the chat box and on the discussion page of the event. So without further ado, I pass it over to Brun.
Thanks, Andrea. Yes, I'm a school nurse in the elementary schools in Niagara Falls. So if you have a kid in one of those schools, then I very well may be their school nurse because that's the catchment area where I work. Today, I'm excited to share with you some information about active school travel, both from a school health nurse perspective, as well as from the perspective of a mom of 3 school-age kids. So what is active school travel? Well, it's likely a term you haven't heard before. The short form is AST. And it's an initiative geared towards encouraging families to choose active ways to get to school and from school. So active transportation programs encourage school communities to walk, to wheel. So examples would be scootering, cycling, wheelchair, or skateboarding, or busing to and from school. Active transportation increases, obviously, physical activity, and likewise improves physical, mental, and emotional health while also benefiting our environment. There are many great ways to participate in getting to school using AST, and it actually may be easier and more important than you think. So the benefits. From this slide, you can see some of the benefits. We'll go through them one by one. But to be clear, AST includes walking or wheeling to school or to the bus stop. So if you have an assigned bus, it would mean taking your bus to school. If your child is outside of their school zone, it could mean that they get driven to a spot that is within walking distance to the school. And there are many benefits. First off, starting the day with some physical activity can actually improve student academic performance by making kids more alert and better prepared to learn. Studies by Active Living Research show that physically active kids have increased brain activity and also improved test scores as well as improved grades. My son's teacher last year noticed that there were certain days he would come to school feeling more energized than others, and she mentioned this to me. I was able to have a conversation with him about it, and he came to recognize that on the days that he biked to school, he felt more ready for the school day. He was more calm and more alert, and it has motivated him to bike to school more often. Secondly, actively traveling to school or to the bus stop is a simple way to incorporate more physical activity into our day. As you may be aware, the minimum requirements or the minimum recommendations for school-age children is 60 minutes of vigorous to moderate activity a day. So just, squeezing in some physical activity to and from school is one way to just, engineer physical activity back into our days. Also, not to mention, people who use modes of active transportation to school, it actually helps reduce traffic congestion and improve safety for everyone in the school zone. So imagine what your child's school parking lot would look like in the morning if everyone arrived using their assigned bus or by walking and wheeling. So no, actually, like I want you to pause and actually just picture it for a second. Fewer idling cars, less congestion, fewer school staff having to direct traffic. It would be quite a change for many school zones. And not to mention the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and the way active school travel could protect the environment. If you have an assigned bus and that bus is driving by anyway, you might as well get on it instead of taking an additional vehicle to school as a way to help the environment. Lastly, incorporating active school travel into your lifestyle is a way to promote lifelong habits that foster independence and active lifestyles and helps prepare our kids for their future. For example, I did not like the bus stop that my kids were originally assigned to. When you looked at it from a map perspective, it totally made sense because it was on the way to school and it just made sense because it was at the end of our street. But in and around bus time, it was really heavily congested with cars because the post office is there, the municipal building is there, so lots of cars coming in and out. And not to mention, our street didn't have a sidewalk. So I requested through NSTS for their bus stop to be changed. It's still on the same route, but they just walk through the park instead of down our street. And so now, as a result, they can walk there happily, safely, and independently. So there's lots of reasons why AST would be difficult to incorporate into our days. And I'm gonna acknowledge as a mom of 3, it's not always realistic. But one of the common reasons that is worth mentioning is that your schedules may be too hectic and we need to make it to and from school quickly. I totally get it. But surprisingly, with minimal prep, AST can happen more often and may actually save time in some situations. Things to consider would be have everyone pack their things the night before. So this would make for smoother mornings, which we can all benefit from, and also instills good lifelong organizational skills. Having things like rain boots and raincoats and umbrellas laid out in advance, if the forecast calls for rain, make for quicker send-offs in the morning, and appropriate attire if it's going to snow. And if you look at, if you take into consideration the road traffic as well as the school zone congestion, there's actually a possibility that it may take less time to walk, scooter, or bike than it does to drive. Time it for yourself and see, especially on the way home if you have to find a parking spot in the school parking lot or line up in bumper to bumper traffic. Another common reason is, I'm on my way out anyway, so I drop my kid off to school on the way. If this is the case, consider dropping your child off within walking distance of the school so that they can still enjoy the benefits of exercise and you can do your part in helping to decrease school parking lot congestion. If your child is too young to get dropped off within walking distance, or it's not something you're comfortable with having them do alone, park and walk together and you can enjoy the benefits together. Another reason may be that you're not sure your child is ready to walk or bike to school or the bus stop safely and independently. Well, and it is true. Kids reach road readiness at different ages and stages. This became apparent to me when one of my kids was biking home from school with a friend. This friend is of the same age but lives in the country. This friend thought it would be most efficient to cross the intersection on a diagonal. Thankfully, he was not injured and everyone was safe, especially since it was quite a busy intersection. But when my son let me know what had happened, it was a great opportunity for me to speak to my friend, his parents, and let them know what had happened. And they took it as an opportunity to teach their kids some road readiness skills and some pedestrian safety skills. So, and they were very appreciative for the heads up. So for primary age children who will be walking escorted, start by watching this great video called Blue the Butterfly. It is put out by Niagara Student Transportation Services and is really, really cute and a great way to get the conversation going. Also, and you'll notice in the comment section, there's a link to a Sidewalk Smarts passport. This is a great way to kind of track your child's progress and for their pedestrian safety skills, because it kind of monitors their progress from, beginner to advanced, and it can be found on Sidewalk Smarts passport. For those who want to improve their bike riding skills, you can watch this 15-minute video called Virtual Bike Rodeo. It's a local video put out by Heart Niagara, and I guarantee both you and your kids will learn some safety skills watching this video. If your child doesn't want to walk alone, have them walk with a friend while maintaining physical distancing and other COVID-19 prevention measures. For more information about that, you can look to our Niagara Region website. But most importantly, practice the route together. If you notice any potential hazards, such as, maybe an overgrown hedge that's causing visibility issues, contact your local municipality to see if the issues can be addressed. If you have concerns about the school zone and parking lot safety itself, speak to your school principal to see if there's ways to address those concerns. If you're interested in having your school participate in AST as a school-wide initiative, I encourage you to speak to your principal or to your parent council. The school's public health nurse is able and willing to assist with the process and getting the principal connected to the appropriate community partners and educating and informing the school community about the benefits of AST. I've also been a huge part in helping plan event days that promote AST at my schools that do have AST as part of their school-wide initiatives. And not only has it been super fun, I've also got to see how it promotes a positive atmosphere as well as a sense of community. So thanks for joining today. I'm happy to take any questions if there happen to be any.
All right, thank you so much, Brun. We did get a few questions prior, so we can start with those. And then if any viewers have additional questions as we start answering, please feel free to leave those in the comment section. So the first question we got is, the area around my kid's school is not safe for walking or biking. What types of changes could be made?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's actually part of the AST process. So what would happen is you could reach out to your principal, mention some of your concerns, and what would happen with the process being started at your school, it would involve the principal, some teachers, some parents that may be interested, as well as local municipality representatives, NSTS representatives, as well as the AST health promoter from Niagara Region Public Health, and some crossing guards. They would all get together and do a walkabout of the area. And during this walkabout, which sometimes takes, an hour, hour and a half, they would kind of analyze, okay, where are potential safety hazards and what can we do about them? So maybe one street would benefit from a bike lane, and they may be able to, instigate having that put in. Some street may benefit from a sidewalk, and that could be implemented. maybe there's an intersection that could really use a crossing, like an extra crossing guard. That too could be addressed with this walkabout and the starting of AST as a school-wide initiative.
That's awesome. So another question we got in, which you're the perfect person to ask, is how can we get a hold of our school nurse?
Yes, that's a great question. Some people may not even realize that their school has a school nurse. And that's because, we are assigned to quite a few schools, but we're really only a phone call away. So we do encourage you, obviously, to reach out to your principal first about AST. But if you were to ever want to get a hold of your school nurse for other things, you could call Public Health at 905-688-8248. And the extension to our program is 7379. And that could, the person answering that could direct you to your specific school nurse. Or you could email healthyschools@niagararegion.ca, which is monitored Monday to Friday by school health nurses like myself, and we would direct you accordingly.
Lovely. And one final question is, how could I get AST started at my kids' school? So you touched on this a little bit, but maybe we can give some good starting points.
Yeah, so the first step would kind of be, well, I guess ultimately the principal has the say whether or not the timing is right for their school community. So I would reach out to the principal and see what they think. If they maybe don't think the timing's good or don't see like it as being a priority at that very moment, you could reach out to your parent council and just kind of get the conversation going. Say, hey, there's so many benefits to active school travel. I feel that our school community would really, it would be great candidate to get this started. What should we do to plan for AST in the future? So even if this school year isn't the right year, because with everything going on, it does make it a bit tricky. It could be the start of a future conversation. And then the school principal would reach out to the school nurse and we would help get that process going by speaking to our local, our health promoter from Niagara Region Public Health, who specializes and focuses just on active school travel.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you talk to us about active school travel and how important it is. All of the resources that Brun mentioned throughout this live event will be in the chat box as well on the discussion page. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us on Niagara Parents via Facebook Messenger, live chat, or phone. You can also look into your school health nurse and ask them any questions you might have as well, any questions regarding your children as well. Also, a reminder that we have more exciting back to school Facebook Live events coming up during the month of September. So our final Facebook Live will be next Monday, September 27th. We'll be welcoming back Celeste from the Community Health Center for a rescheduled pronoun chat. So we wish you and your family all the best this school year, and thank you again for tuning in. Bye, everyone.
Bye.